Hello, my name is John Brink. We want to welcome you to a series about the forest industry in British Columbia. For the next several weeks, we will be looking at all aspects of the forest industry through the eyes of the people that were there, from the CEOs to the workers in the bush, the loggers, the truckers, from the north to the south, all aspects of the past, the present, and also, more importantly, look at the future of the forest industry. Over the next several weeks, I will be interviewing several key players of all segments of the industry that played such an important role as it went through the history of the industry. And for now, I wanted to talk a little bit about my history and what motivated me to do this series. I always dreamed about being in Canada and then going to Canada and becoming part of the forest industry and building my own lumber mill. I was able to do that in 1965, and in July of '65, I arrived in Prince George. Couldn't speak the language, didn't know a soul, had $25.47, but I had a dream of building a lumber mill. It was the land of opportunity, and the forest industry was booming, especially in the interior of the province of British Columbia. In the process of the last 50 years, I have met many individuals that were difference makers in the industry and real characters in all different segments of the industry, from the people that worked in the mills to the loggers in the bush, the truckers and the CEOs, and those that started companies and built them into large companies, or those that were not so successful but still were difference makers. And that particular part of the industry, I believe, is the richest that we should be preserving. And I've thought about it many times as how do we capture that so it doesn't get lost on history. And more recently, a couple of months ago, again, I met one of those individuals by pure coincidence in a coffee shop, started talking about the industry, and I said to myself, now is the time to do that before all that history gets lost. There is uncertainty about what the size of the industry will be. Obviously, the regions and the area, especially in northern BC, is affected by the pine beetle pandemic, the spruce beetle pandemic, and subsequently fires that resulted from that and debris in the bush has reduced the annual allowable cut, the amount of wood or timber that can be harvested to feed the existing mills. Unfortunately, that will be substantially reduced, with the effect that there are too much capacity, not enough wood available, which means that some mills will close, affecting, as we know, a number of communities. We will be talking about that part in terms of where do we go from there, and what will the industry, how will they survive through the downturn, and what will it look like as we come out of it. We will be talking about that to some government officials in our interviews. We will be talking to entrepreneurs, and we will be talking about an emerging industry that will be different. There will be less mills, there will be different mills, there will be more value added, there will be more consolidation in some other areas. And we see that virtually on a daily basis as it evolves. We will explore that in terms of what it means to us, to the workers, and to the communities as time goes forward. There is no question in my mind about it that we are fortunate to live in one of the best forest growing provinces and lands in the world. There is no question about that. There is no question about it that there will be a future but it will look different. That means different skill sets. It means different companies. Names on buildings will change, but it will be a new industry, and it will be one of the best industries. We have the opportunity to build one of the best industries producing new products for new markets in the world. And we will explore that with those that are the different makers, including some of the major senior CEOs of the companies, and then as well as to labor leaders and the loggers and the workers, as to what will it mean to them, what will it mean to the communities and to the industry as a whole in the province of British Columbia. So today, as we look at the industry in transition, it then becomes a question of what will it look like as we go forward. Government is right now contemplating a renewed industry, and both in the coast and in the interior. And what, at least in their opinion, it looks like, and they have done extensive consultation with industry, with the communities, with the people at large, and that right now is in process. There is no question in my mind in terms of that. First and foremost, we have to make sure that we are the best possible stewards of the forest resource. We have to, in my opinion, spend more capital into trying to grow more cubic meters per hectare. Areas and regions very similar to ours in Sweden are producing at least 50% more per hectare than we do here. And that may well include changes to how we conduct forest policy in the province, that we have to become more incented to become better stewards. And if that is, that produce better forest in more volume per hectare. The amount of forest, the size of the forest, working forest in British Columbia is about the same as it is in Sweden. But we by far are not producing as many jobs per cubic meter. What can be done to do that? The other part that where we have difficult in a general sense is that we have become the highest cost producer virtually in the world, and certainly in North America. That doesn't make us collectively as a primary, secondary sector very advantageous for investment. We have to look at the underlying issues, and we will be exploring that in the interviews that we have with the different makers in the industry and in government. And so there is no question that it has to look different. The other thing that I believe has always been very important to me, that we cannot be successful. We can have the best location in terms of, from a market perspective, being located in Canada, access to Asia, access to Europe, access to the North America. We have some of the best fiber in the world, and can grow the best fiber in the world. But if we do not have the skill sets to do that, that ultimately will become the largest deterrent to investment. We must spend more capital on creating the skill sets for our future industry as we go forward. All the technology that is now being used in the industry will become ancient very quickly, and the skill sets and the equipment being used to manufacture lumber and the new products for new markets will be different. And we have to invest in our colleges and centers of excellence where we develop those skill sets as we go forward. The scary part is that we still have a lot of people that are now working in skill sets that will retire in the next 5 to 10 years, and we really have not created the infrastructure to train the new people for the new industry as we go forward. That will become a critical part. So what I say, invest in the land base in terms of growing more fiber per hectare, invest in infrastructure to create skills training so that we can already guarantee from here on forward that we will become a dominant player in the international lumber market. But we must address the issues of growing the best possible fiber, but the other one, mostly important, is to create the skill sets. And then also making sure that we communicate to our young people that there is a future in the forest industry. There are technology jobs and new opportunities that will be created as the industry works through the transition. So there is no question in my mind that the opportunity are plentiful. We will, during this series, explore those ideas and those objectives with other people that are in the industry or government that are now actively looking at where do we go from here as the industry goes likely through one of the most difficult periods in its transition to the 21st century. I would like to thank everybody for watching today's introductory interview to this series on the forest industry in British Columbia. In the next several weeks, we will do many of the different interviews of the different people involved in the past, the present, and the future. That our next week's interview will be the first one, and there will be many more to follow. This is a very important time for all of us because we are all affected by the future of this industry, and I hope you to stay tuned with us for the next several weeks as we conduct these interviews to get a better idea and better perception of where we were, where we are, and where we will be going forward in this changing industry.